Good afternoon and welcome to GrainTV. It's June 29th, 2012. I'm Logan Burgess. To my right is Cody Bills. Well, Cody, the day everyone's been waiting for here. It was the big USDA planted acreage and quarterly grain stocks report. Let's take a quick jump into the numbers here, kind of recap what we saw come out this morning. As you can see here, corn on the planted acreage front, 96.41 million acres of corn projected this morning by the USDA. That was actually higher than what the analysts were kind of expecting here coming into this report. Soybeans were also on the high end of analyst expectations, coming in at 76.08 million acres. Wheat was the only exception here, actually coming in below kind of what the trade was guessing. But most of these planted acreage figures were relatively in line with what the trade was expecting here this morning. If we turn our attention to quarterly grain stocks, you can see that here, out of this quarterly grain stocks figure for corn, it was actually slightly lower than what the trade was kind of expecting. 3.15 billion bushels here for quarterly grain stocks. Soybeans and wheat both came in actually above what the trade is expecting. 667 million bushels of beans, 743 million bushels of wheat here in this morning's report. So overall, you know, Cody, with the exception of this corn figure on quarterly grain stocks, for the most part, bearish data came out this morning, but we saw the markets really rally this morning. What's kind of your what's your take on that?
Well, let's just take a look at the way we closed here.
Yeah.
Corn for the July contract was up 19.5, whereas December was up 1 3/4. Beans for the July was up 47.5, where November was 25.5 that we were up there. And then wheat also, we were up 15 3/4, and December was up 10 1/4. I think the idea here, the whole concept of this trade today was that we came out, we had some bearish numbers, but they weren't outlandishly bearish.
Right.
They didn't surprise the market significantly enough to make these longs that are long because of the weather situations sell.
Right.
And I think the other thing is people just turned their attention. They said, okay, that report's out of the way. That sort of volatility is out of the market. Let's focus on the weather. And that's
Right.
what they did today, and that's why we closed up strongly. The other reason here is if you look at the dollar index, the dollar was off sharply. There was a surprise news announcement out of the EU.
Right.
Basically, they're going to allow rescue funds to be used here to directly recapitalize the banks, as well as ESM bond support for Italy and for Spain, and that is really a very positive sign out of
Right.
Europe. It's not going to solve the problem, and who knows, we may actually see some sort of austerity, really Germany react poorly to the
Right.
way everything's going on, but right now they basically Italy and Spain got some free money.
Right, absolutely. Well, in addition to this European zone news that came out today, I think ultimately, like you were saying, Cody, people are really focusing on the drought that we're in for most of the Corn Belt here right now. And actually, we received some interesting data this morning from Planalytics here, if I jump over to this map. As you can see here, this is their yield forecast, and really the area that we want to focus on here is that Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Michigan area, that eastern Corn Belt that, as we know, is right now in a pretty darn severe drought. You can see here, state by state, they basically break down their projected yields. When taken on average here, they're now expecting 158.3 bushels per acre out of this corn crop. Also this morning, we had Informa come out and actually say they believe that the yield on this crop is going to be around 155 bushels per acre out of this crop. So, the USDA a while back in that March report projected 166 bushels per acre. I think that's been totally thrown out the window here. People are expecting sub 160 yield out of this corn crop, and that's really been reflected in the action that we've seen in the futures market here recently, especially on that December contract.
Yeah, and we're going to have to really pay attention to those weather models because
Right.
Even if we do see some chance of rain in the weather models, I wouldn't be surprised if that triggers a sell-off. I think we're going to actually need to see the rain.
Right.
People are really concerned about this crop, and they have reason to be.
Right, absolutely. Well, going into next week, weather's going to remain on the forefront here. Not a lot of big fundamental drivers expecting out next week. Do keep an eye on crop progress and conditions. They'll be coming out Monday afternoon. That kind of wraps up our show here, though, for Friday afternoon on GrainTV. Thanks a lot for joining us. We'll see you back here Monday.